What if a mighty African king ignored every beautiful princess and chose a poor village girl instead? The entire royal palace was stunned. The princesses laughed at her worn-out clothes, the nobles called her unworthy, even the royal guards tried to send her away. But none of them knew the secret the king and the prince had discovered. Why would a future king risk his throne for a poor flower seller? What happened next shocked the entire kingdom and proved that true royalty isn't born, it is earned. Stay until the end to discover why the poorest girl in the kingdom became the greatest queen in its history. Long ago in the prosperous African kingdom of Amandi, there ruled a wise and respected king named King Jabari. His kingdom was famous for its fertile lands, magnificent palaces, and peaceful people. Although King Jabari had everything a ruler could desire, he worried constantly about one thing: his only son, Prince Adrian, was still unmarried. As the king grew older, he knew the future of the kingdom depended on finding not just a beautiful queen, but a woman with wisdom, compassion, honesty, and courage. One evening, while watching the sunset from the palace balcony, the king called his son. "My son," the king said, "many rulers have offered their daughters in marriage. They are wealthy, educated, and powerful. But before I leave this world, I want to know that our people will be cared for by someone with a truly noble heart." Prince Adrian nodded. "Father," he replied, "I don't want to marry someone because she wears a crown. I want someone who loves people more than power." The king smiled. "Then let the whole kingdom witness your choice." Messengers rode across every kingdom, delivering golden invitations. Princesses from distant lands prepared for the grand royal gathering. Some traveled with hundreds of servants. Some arrived in golden chariots decorated with precious stones. Others wore dresses embroidered with diamonds and crowns, passed down through generations. News of the celebration spread to every village. In a tiny farming village lived a young woman named Amara. She had lost both her parents when she was still a child. Since then, she had worked every day selling flowers, fruits, and handmade baskets in the marketplace to care for her sick grandmother. Although life was difficult, Amara never complained. Every morning she greeted strangers with a smile. She often gave food to hungry children, even when she barely had enough to eat herself. Whenever an elderly neighbor needed help carrying water or firewood, Amara was the first to volunteer. The villagers admired her kindness. One day, her grandmother often said, "Your kindness will open a door that money never could." Amara simply smiled. "I don't need riches, Grandma. As long as we're together, I'm happy." On the morning of the royal celebration, Amara gathered the freshest flowers she had ever grown. She hoped to sell them outside the palace where visitors would gather. She had no intention of entering the palace. After all, she was only a poor village girl. When she arrived, magnificent carriages lined the palace entrance. Princesses stepped out wearing jewels that sparkled brighter than the morning sun. People admired them with amazement. As Amara carefully arranged her flowers, several princesses noticed her. One of them laughed. "Look at her clothes." Another whispered, "She probably thinks she belongs among royalty." The others laughed loudly. Amara lowered her head and continued working without saying a word. She refused to answer cruelty with anger. Inside the palace, musicians played beautiful melodies. Hundreds of nobles filled the grand hall. Prince Adrian entered wearing a simple royal robe instead of extravagant clothing. He wanted everyone to focus on character rather than appearance. King Jabari stood before the crowd. "My honored guests," he announced, "today my son will choose his future queen." Everyone applauded. Then the king continued, "But there is one condition." The room became silent. "The future queen will not be chosen because of beauty." The princesses exchanged confused looks. "She will not be chosen because of wealth." Maury whispers spread across the hall. "And she will not be chosen because she was born into royalty." The entire palace fell silent. "She will be chosen because her heart reflects the values our kingdom stands for." Many nobles frowned. Some secretly believed such an idea was foolish. Instead of announcing his choice immediately, Prince Adrian quietly left the hall wearing an ordinary cloak. No one recognized him. He wanted to observe how people behaved when they believed no one important was watching. Throughout the day, he watched carefully. One princess shouted at a servant because her tea was not hot enough. Another refused to sit beside poor villagers. A third demanded expensive gifts before agreeing to marry. Each encounter disappointed the prince. As evening approached, he walked outside the palace gates. There he saw Amara. An elderly woman had slipped while carrying heavy baskets. Without hesitation, Amara rushed over. She helped the woman stand. She cleaned her injured hands. Then she carried the baskets all the way home. On her way back, she noticed several hungry children watching people eat. She opened her small bag. Inside was the only bread she had planned to share with her grandmother. Without hesitation, she broke it into pieces and handed it to the children. She smiled warmly. No one should go to bed hungry. The prince watched silently. He had never seen such kindness. Later, heavy rain began to fall. A frightened little girl became separated from her parents. While everyone rushed to protect their expensive clothes, Amara wrapped the child in her own shawl and comforted her until her family was found. Prince Adrian smiled. At that moment he knew. The next morning, the entire kingdom gathered for the final ceremony. The princesses stood proudly in elegant gowns. The prince slowly walked across the royal stage. Everyone expected him to stop before one of the princesses. Instead, he walked past every single one of them. Gasps filled the palace. The prince continued walking until he reached the palace entrance. Standing quietly beside her flowers was Amara. She looked around, confused. The prince extended his hand. "I choose you." The palace became completely silent. The princesses were speechless. The nobles protested loudly. "A peasant cannot become queen. This is impossible." The king raised his hand. Instant silence followed. "My son has made the right choice." He looked toward the crowd. A crown does not make someone noble. Wealth does not make someone worthy. Kindness, honesty, courage, and compassion are the true jewels of a ruler. The hall erupted into applause. Many people wiped tears from their eyes. Amara stood frozen. "Your Highness," she whispered, "I'm only a poor village girl." Prince Adrian smiled. "No, you are the richest person here because your heart is full of love." Months later, Prince Adrian and Amara were married in a grand royal ceremony, attended by thousands. As queen, Amara never forgot where she came from. She built schools for poor children. She opened hospitals that treated everyone, rich or poor. She created shelters for widows and orphans. She helped farmers during difficult seasons and made sure no child in the kingdom went hungry. Years passed. The people loved Queen Amara more than any ruler before her. Travelers came from distant kingdoms to learn the secret behind Amandi's peace and prosperity. The answer was always the same. A kingdom becomes truly great when it is ruled with kindness. And so the poor village girl who had once been laughed at became the greatest queen the kingdom had ever known, proving that true royalty is found not in birth, riches, or beauty, but in the goodness of one's heart. Moral character will take you where wealth and beauty never can. A kind heart is the greatest crown anyone can wear.